Today, we are diving into one of the most incredible poems ever written, Percy Bysshe Shelley's Ode to the West Wind. And let me tell you, this is so much more than a poem about a windy autumn day. It's a raw, desperate cry for change, and it's also this timeless prophecy of hope. So, let's get into what makes this piece so powerful.
Right from the very first line, Shelley isn't just describing the wind, he's talking to it, like it's a person, or even a god. He calls it the breath of autumn's being, which immediately tells us, okay, this invisible force, this is the main character of our story. Now, what's so brilliant about this is that Shelley doesn't paint the wind as just a good or bad guy. No, it's both. It's a destroyer, tearing down the old and the dead, but at the very same time, it's a preserver, protecting the seeds for the future. This powerful contradiction, this duality, well, that's the engine that drives the entire poem.
So, to really get a handle on this whole destroyer and preserver idea, Shelley starts us on the ground, on land, where you can literally see the wind's power at work.
I mean, what an image, right? The wind isn't just blowing leaves around. No, it's chasing them away like some powerful wizard, an enchanter who's banishing ghosts. The leaves are like the dead past, and the wind is this unstoppable force that just sweeps them all away. You can almost feel that wild, chaotic energy in his words.
And that's the key to understanding it. It's wildness. Shelley calls the wind a wild spirit for a reason, because you can't control it. You can't tame it. It is pure, absolute freedom, and it goes wherever it wants.
But here's where we see the other side of the coin, the preserver. That same wind that just violently scattered all the dead leaves, it also gently carries seeds to safety. It tucks them into the earth, into their dark, wintry bed. And get this, he says they lie there like corpses in a grave. It looks like death, but really, they're just being kept safe for a future life. And that future life? Oh, it's coming. The seeds are just waiting for the wind's azure sister, that's the warm, gentle spring breeze, to show up and blow her trumpet, her clarion, to wake up the whole planet. So you see, the destructive autumn wind is actually a crucial first step for rebirth to happen.
Okay, so from the ground, Shelley tells us to look up to the sky where the wind's power is even bigger, even more untamed.
And notice what he does here. He brings back that same image. Just like the wind tosses around dead leaves on the ground without a second thought, it treats these massive, heavy clouds in the sky with the exact same effortless power. They're just like nature's decaying leaves to the wind.
But then, he dials up the intensity. The clouds aren't just floating leaves anymore. Oh no. Now, they're the wild, tangled hair of a fierce Maenad. A Maenad was a follower of the Greek god of wine and chaos. So we've gone from simple decay to this picture of divine, ecstatic, almost violent madness.
And with a storm like that, of course, comes a sound. The howling of the wind becomes a dirge, which is a funeral song. It is literally singing the death song for the year that's ending. The whole sky becomes this massive tomb, and the storm clouds are its dome.
So we've been on land, we've been in the sky, and now our journey plunges down into the deepest parts of the world, the oceans. Shelley wants to show us that the wind's reach is, well, it's everywhere.
Think about this. The wind is so powerful, it can wake up the entire Mediterranean Sea from its calm summer sleep. It churns up the water and, in doing so, reveals these lost worlds hidden below. Ancient palaces and towers all covered in moss, things no human has seen for ages, until the wind stirs them from their slumber. And it's not just the water that feels it. The actual life at the bottom of the ocean, these sea forests, they hear the wind's voice from way up above. And they physically tremble and despoil themselves. They literally shed their leaves out of pure, raw fear. It's a staggering image of the wind's terrifying, all-encompassing power. So after building up this incredible portrait of an unstoppable, almost cosmic force of nature, the poem takes this sharp, dramatic turn. The scale suddenly shrinks from epic to deeply personal. And it begs the question, why? Why spend all this time describing this immense power? What could one person possibly want from it?
Well, the answer is, he needs something from it, desperately. We now shift from the awesome power of nature to the intense pain of one human being, who looks at the wind as his only possible salvation.
He just cries out to the wind. He wishes he could be a dead leaf, a swift cloud, a powerful wave. He doesn't care what. He'd be anything, just to be carried by that wind, to feel its absolute untamed freedom. You know, a freedom he says he remembers having as a kid, but is now totally lost.
And here's why he's so desperate. This is one of the most famous, heartbreaking lines about pain ever written. He feels trapped. He feels completely defeated by life's hardships. He has literally fallen on the thorns of life, and he is bleeding out.
He explains that the heavy weight of hours, just the daily grind of time and suffering, has chained him up and broken his spirit. And the real tragedy of it all? He says he used to be just like the wind, tameless and swift and proud, but life wore him down.
But he doesn't leave us in despair, and this is the crucial final turn. In this last part, the poet tries to transform his own personal suffering into a message of hope for all of us, for all of humanity.
He bigs the wind for a total makeover. He says, "Make me your instrument like a lyre. Become my spirit. Fill me with your wildness. Take my dead thoughts and drive them all over the universe, and scatter my words, my poems, among all people, like you'd scatter ashes and sparks from a fire."
See, his ultimate goal isn't just to be moved by the wind. He wants to become the wind. He wants the wind to speak through his mouth, to use his lips to sound a trumpet of a prophecy and wake up a sleeping, complacent world with his radical ideas. So, after all that destruction, all that pain, and all this desperate hope for a new beginning, what is it? What is the final essential message that the poet wants to blast out to the world?
And here it is. This is the poem's timeless gift to us all. He doesn't end with a statement, but with a question that contains its own certain answer. Winter, that season of death, of hardship, of despair, it's not the end of the story. It's just a necessary part of the cycle. And the fact that winter is here is the surest guarantee you can have that spring, with all its rebirth, renewal, and hope, is right around the corner. That, right there, is the prophecy.